There we go.
Looks like you're live, sir. By the way, I like your logo on the top right hand corner. I could learn something from you. I haven't figured any of that stuff out.
You know what? So I'll give props to you because you told me about using this site to do this. So like, and this thing is great,
Dude, how
man.
easy is this?
Oh my God, easy.
You can send the link to anybody. It works in any browser and it's free and it's just effortless.
yeah, I ended up paying for the $25 a month, whatever, to do the logo and everything. Because I'm like, whatever, man. Like it's $25. It makes it look cooler,
It's not like we're going out to the bar or anything.
right?
You know what I mean? We definitely have $25 that we otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, folks, welcome to At Home with Mark. I am super pumped about today and in this episode because my buddy Mike Palmisano from Guitar Gate is here, and we live literally 20 minutes from each other, but yet we're in little squares right now. But we never get to hang out. So this has been like, I've been looking forward to this, buddy. So thanks for doing it. I know you're a busy guy, so thanks for doing this.
Oh, dude, it's absolutely my pleasure. I was seeing the people that you've had on and going to have on. Like one, thank you for turning me on to Joey Landreth. He was just on my channel. What a badass that dude is. But I see you
Yeah.
got Charlie Hunter in the mix, and like just so many people. And I'm glad to see you doing this.
Man, you know what? In the absence of gigs, this has been such a godsend. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just being able to do something creative and talk to people that like have turned my life into what it is now, just from listening to their music. So, cheers! This is my first time having a beer on here, but in honor of Mr.
Cheers.
Palmisano, I thought I'd pour myself a fat tire. So, thanks, buddy.
Hey, good to see you. Yeah, I am known to have an adult beverage or two on my channel.
And that's great. You know, I
Oh,
usually
yeah.
don't drink, so I was like, this is a special occasion with hanging with you. So.
You know, that's right. You usually don't, do you?
I don't, not because I don't enjoy it, because I love a good frosty beverage in the summertime and stuff, but like I can't handle alcohol. My body just is like, nah.
Dude, age is a mother, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, man.
I hear you. My wife and I talk about it all the time. We get one night out, you know, because we have all these kids. We get one night out, and we end up having like 3 or 4 drinks, and you think that we would have 30. You know what I mean? It takes us 2 days to recover, and we're like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
That's funny. I mean, it's weird because alcohol and me have never mixed. I'm a skinny dude.
Mm-hmm.
I have never been able to handle my alcohol. And maybe in college I could have 3 beers.
Yeah.
But like if I had 3 beers in one sitting, unless I'm sitting eating crabs all day, then it's okay.
Yeah.
But if I have like 3 beers in an evening, I'll be so sick and I'll be throwing up all the next day, dude. It's so, and that's been since I was 21, man. It's just my makeup. I don't know what it is.
To each his own. That's better and cheaper.
Yeah, it's true. I'm a very cheap date. So there's one good thing about that. I want to dive in because I don't want to, there's so many things that you and I have not talked about.
I'm so excited to be on this end. Go for it.
Yeah, I know, right? So I always talk about this with every single one of my guests about the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by the moment is that very moment where you were like, I want to do music. I want to play guitar or play drums or play piano or whatever it was. Like for me, I have a very specific moment that I can go back to. Do you have something like that?
Hold, I'll show you.
Oh, look at this. Props. Hey, everybody.
So, the answer to your question is no. Here's a picture of me at 3 years old holding a guitar. I do not remember not playing.
Oh.
The battle of my life has been to believe I was good enough to do this for my life. I've always loved it. I never had a member of my family that was into music. It was always my escape. You know, I had a very interesting childhood and adolescence, and music is where I went to get my aggression and energy out. And the battle of my life has always been, can I keep picking it up? Can I keep trying to get better and using that as my vehicle to get through the world? And so I don't remember the actual moment because I don't remember not playing. But I can tell you that at every pivotal moment in my life, I chose it, and I'm better off for it.
That's interesting. it's hard, I guess. It's funny because there's a lot of musicians that I talk to about this, and it varies so much from
Oh, I
person
bet.
to person, and that it's like a sociological experiment almost doing this to like figure out what fuels people and what drives
What
people.
was yours? I'm sure you said it a bunch on here.
Yeah, so I remember sitting in my best friend's bedroom playing NBA jams on his Sega Genesis. It was
Right.
me and him and one other guy from our neighborhood, and this was probably 6th grade, 5th grade, and he put on Nirvana's Nevermind, and then I was like super into it. I was playing, NBA jams, and then I like gave the controller to the other dude, and I just sat in front of the stereo and listened to that record. And
Mm-hmm.
then he was like, "Hey, if you like that, you'll probably really like this." And he
Mm-hmm.
put 10 on,
Mm-hmm. Pearl
and
Jam,
and
yeah.
that changed my life. And like I asked him, we had one CD player in my house, it was my brother's, and I asked him if I could borrow the CD, and I took it home and I listened to 10 twice in a row, just sitting in my brother's room on his carpet. And I was like, I want to play guitar for real. I had a guitar at the time because when I was a kid, I was always singing and stuff when I was a kid. And but like that was when I was like, I'm gonna take this seriously and take lessons.
Yeah.
So
No, that's awesome. I was a huge Nirvana kid. I think Cobain died when I was in second grade, and even at that age, I mean, I don't think I went to school for days.
hmm.
I was like holed up in my room. I was one of those super emotional, passionate kids, and like I was like even at whatever age that was, like 8 or 9 or whatever it was, I was totally and completely devastated.
Yeah, I know. I can't remember. I guess. Well, how old are you?
36.
Okay, I'm 41. So it's a little bit of a difference there in terms of like, if I was in high school, you were much younger. So I was in a
Mm-hmm.
different part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because I had a very similar experience with him, but heavily with Shannon Hoon.
Mm.
Like when we lost Shannon Hoon, I was probably a freshman or a sophomore in high school. And I can remember we had a gig at the Harford Mall in Bel Air. It was my band. Like we were playing this acoustic gig, and I had a really hard time singing that night and like getting through the set because I was so upset. And my parents were like, "What's wrong with you?" Like,
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Well, we lost a really, powerful, influential singer, and it sucks." And then I remember,
He had some of the best melodies ever. Like even to this day, I
oh,
mean, I hear it in my head just like it's just
mm-hmm.
I just just
and,
hooks, man. Those hooks of your adolescence.
and think about like what was going on at that time for Blind Melon to put out a record that was like hippie rock
Yeah,
compared to like what the Seattle scene was doing. It was very against the grain.
it's a really good point.
Like it was very different. I mean, unabashedly, I will say I'm a huge Spin Doctors fan too. Like I started playing guitar, listening to Eric Shankman and Mike McCready and like
Yeah.
all those cats
Oh
because
yeah.
it all comes back to like Jimmy and Stevie and
Sure.
that's where you learn those roots. What did you go through with that? So like while you were listening, brooding about Kurt Cobain and like getting into like this music and learning more about the guitar, like what were there? Because I know you were a little bit of a metalhead too. Talk to me about that.
Huge. So, well, a few things happened. So, one, when I was in elementary school or whatever, I picked the guitar up, put it down, picked it up, put it down. I probably picked it up for good around 11 or 12. And in those days, I'm a firm advocate of whoever came up with this school of thought that you are very much the five people that you spend your most time with. And I grew up playing music, I would say, every weekend, at least 3 days a week, with just a metal drummer, with no bass player, no keys ever, from sixth grade until you know 11th grade, right? So, and all we listened to was Pantera, Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax, Seven Dust, all of the, and so on and so forth. And whenever we would jam, um, we never had another instrument. It was always drums and guitar, and I played drums too. So for the first solid chunk of my life, when I was hooked on guitar and I spent the 5, 6, 8 hours a day playing guitar, it was entirely and completely in Riffland trying to mesh with the drummer, throwing huge chunks of sound across the room. No
Yeah.
chords, no melodies, nothing. Just, and still to this day, I think rhythm first. I think like a drummer because that is my upbringing. So you know, before I got into the Stevie, Eddie, Jimmy, the flag I planted was Dimebag, Riffer Madness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have a Crybaby from Hell in the closet right behind me, man. That's a killer wah pedal, man. It's funny because
I've never tried it. But I believe it. Does it have like extra gain in the nasal part of it,
yeah, well, yeah, and there's like a kick switch on the right hand side that's like a boost circuit that just gives you like a little bit more.
like a 15 or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is. It doesn't work anymore. I toured the hell out of that pedal. Like when I was touring throughout, high school, college, and stuff. That was my pedal. That was my wah pedal, and
That's awesome.
it's just it's got beer all over it. It's like bottoms, like when you put like Velcro on the bottom of a wah pedal, it just starts pulling the bottom apart from the wah pedal. It's
Yes.
just like falling apart.
Yes. And I always used the old school Vox with the 9 volt.
Hmm.
And the plate would come apart and you had to like rip it off and the screws wouldn't go back in and you always had to mess with it because it was batteries. It was total trash.
Oh
But
man.
I loved that old Vox. So when you were touring in middle school and high school, what were you doing? What were you into? What type of bands were you in?
So this is gonna segue into what I want to talk to you about in a little bit. But I've been in a jam band my whole life, man. Like
Yeah.
I was playing jam band music in high school. And not just because look at you turning into an interviewer. You can't shut it off. Um,
Yeah, but
just
I want to know too. I don't just want
well,
to
it's
answer
just a hang.
questions.
It's just a hang.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I have an older brother and an older sister, and my older sister's 8 years older than me. My brother's 4, and they both are huge Deadheads. And so
You told me this.
yeah, I was exposed to the Dead when I was in, I mean, 7th grade talent show. I was playing "Smells Like Teen Spirit" in the 7th grade talent show with my band, and I was wearing a "Without a Net" Grateful Dead T-shirt in that video. So, I was exposed to that stuff really young, and my brother then got into Fish, and then he had like a bunch of Fish tapes laying around the house. So I just gravitated towards that because you and I mean, we come from the same school of like a little bit heavier music. So
Hmm.
that music, like listening to Chalk Dust, I was like, oh, that's me. That's
So
way more me.
you kind of made the jump from your Pearl Jam ish kind of grunge that early '90s thing straight into the jam scene.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Totally. And it,
Totally different wavelength. I love it.
yeah, but it was seamless because I was surrounded. My brother used to sit in his room and listen to tapes of shows like all day long. He loved playing FIFA on his PlayStation 1, listening to Dead tapes. So I would be in his room
I
just
mean,
listening.
it sounds like you had a good time.
Yeah, oh yeah, man, for sure. I mean, but it taught me a lot really early on about musical maturity, like
It's a great
you
word.
know what I mean? So
I do know what you mean.
yeah, I mean, so when you were tell me about your story as far as like going through the metal stuff. So I didn't know you played drums too. So was that your primary instrument for a while, or?
No, 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 no. Guitar's always been my primary instrument. But I meant what I said. Like, you know, there's I don't know much about childhood development, but I know that what you do musically from the ages of 12 to 19 pretty much is the foundation of who you are musically. Like when you hear songs that take you back to a nostalgic place, it's in that time zone. And I grew up again for 6, 7, 8 years, however long it was, playing a lot of music, but only with one other person, a drummer who was a double kick, like super metal drummer. And so we would alternate. We would take turns, and I would always play drums too. And I've always there's a couple angles to this, but I've always struggled with harmony and melody. I've always felt extremely comfortable with rhythm, dynamics, where things fit in a pocket and in a mix. Like I still to this day, like the struggle of my professional musicianship is hearing notes and chord qualities and figuring melodies together. I but where things fit in a rhythmic, dynamic mix phrasing, stringing phrases along. That stuff I don't even have to think about. But I still have to work really, really hard to be like, oh, that's a major third, that's a minor third. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think like a drummer that plays guitar, that's the best. And because that's really what I did for the first considerable part of my life. Like, we would just riff, and I wouldn't even learn songs, like, ever. It was
Yeah.
just, it was just totally improvised music, but with metal drums and just riffage, like, for years and years and years, all throughout my adolescence. So it really made a hard-headed student of me when I eventually went to GIT.
Yeah, I'd say. So that's so funny too, because like with all your guitar reaction videos that you do,
Yeah.
you would never know that. I mean, you got a great set of ears on you. Like, when you're listening to stuff and breaking it down, I would never ever think that that was the case for you.
Well, I appreciate that. And the reason that chose education as a career pursuit instead of more and bigger stages, and decided to go that way. The reason that I feel that, even though I know I'm a good guitar player, that I'm a much better teacher, and that it's a rare mix to have the two. The reason I know that is because my ear for harmony and melody was so bad that I had to internalize theory to a point that, you know, I didn't have to think about it anymore. Where I dove so deep down the theory hole in the hopes that if I could create a roadmap over which to solo, to create rhythmic parts, whatever, that eventually my ear would catch up to my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, that has started to happen. And so that's why I teach the way that I do. That's why all my lessons and courses don't contain any licks, tabs, or it's entirely based on practical application of music theory, because that's what got someone like me with a well below average ear for note values and chord qualities to be able to do this for a living.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's so cool. I mean, I never would have thought of that about you, and I feel like
It's
the
true though.
idea, yeah, but I mean, like the idea of dissecting a song like you dissect a song, like it's funny. Like I was talking to one of my coworkers today, and he found, and I told him they all know I'm doing this thing,
Yeah.
and he saw that you were going to be on. Then he went down the rabbit hole and saw a bunch of your reaction videos, and was like, he's great. And I was like, yeah, he's awesome. So I don't know if he's going to be here tonight, but he said he's going to try to stop by. But he said he loved the way that the practical approach of like how you break down this stuff when you're picking it all apart.
Yeah.
Because when you're a guitarist, when a young guitarist, this is the one thing I think my first guitar teacher did well. And that's not true. He did many things well, but the main thing he did well for me was uh maybe my second or third lesson. It was, I mean, I've always had pretty big ears, in
Yeah,
terms of hearing stuff.
yeah, I know.
But he was like, here are the chords to Wish You Were Here. I'm not going to tell you in which order to play them. I want you to go home and I want you to try to listen and figure out which chord is which and when it comes in. I'm not even kidding you, man. It was like, and I remember going home and soaking it up, man. Like get in front of the stereo and like trying to find, oh, that's it. That's that one. And then like writing it down.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing like he did for me that I think really ear training wise, that like was like a ramp,
At the beginning.
at the beginning. And
Yeah.
I'm teaching my daughter right now, and like I'm trying to impart that to her, and she's picking up on stuff, and it's amazing, and it makes a big difference long term.
Now, are you teaching her on guitar or using piano?
Both. She's more doing guitar right now, and I'm only using the piano upstairs for reference as far as the difference between intervals and I'm teaching the chromatic scale. That's the first thing I always teach all my students who are learning, is to get their fingers moving, to get them to be musical.
Yep.
And she's getting that right away. But like just the relationship of understanding black and white keys and what that means on the guitar. That's the only reason I'm using that. But yeah.
Yeah, I taught many kids for a very, very long time, and I'm kind of on the fence about teaching my own kids. I'm really, I really feel like you gotta let them get bit by the bug and let them get hooked, and then you can kind of like work up to it. And so even though my oldest is 9, I'm still in the dad phase of like, we're gonna have James Brown dance parties in the house. Like we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna crank tunes on the way to soccer games, and we have a piano in the main room. And so like if I hear Blake humming, like he was doing ba-dun-dun, ba-da-da-dun, the Queen tune the other day,
hmm
and I just stopped him and said, hey, let's go over to the piano real quick. It's gonna take 2 minutes. We found it. And it's like,
hmm
okay, now go somewhere else. Go do something. And so I'm
Yeah.
still in that like I haven't made them sit down for a half hour and try to do what I did with so many other kids. I think there's something about having someone else teach your kids and like because you as their parent are like, oh come on, dad, this is the same as me cleaning my room or something.
Yeah. You know what? Funny enough, it's been the antithesis of that. Um,
You,
I haven't pushed it at all. There's a drum set in the house. There's a piano. There's a bass guitar. There's a guitar. There's a bunch of stuff for her to mess with.
yeah,
And she lately, for some weird reason, has been like really into wanting to learn guitar.
yeah,
So,
that's awesome, dude.
and it's like, I mean, I don't mind it because honestly, man, I got misty the one night when we were sitting here when she got something under her fingers and
Oh,
started doing it.
totally, totally.
And I was like, oh, this is what this feels like.
Yeah.
Like this is what it feels like to be a proud father and like share music with your kid. Holy crap.
Yes,
Like,
dude, I totally get it, man. I know it's what we live for, and it's. I feel like maybe that's something that COVID has given you guys like extra time to work on stuff like that, and
mhm.
because I know that you have just one daughter, but with all the kids that I have, it's very rare to even get one of them alone one on one and not have the other one come and like poop their pants or like ruin the whole vibe. It's strangely enough, it's been very hard to get quality time because no one goes anywhere.
Yeah, I know. We do have a luxury. I mean, we are 3 less than you, so we have a big luxury there. But, it's
No,
been
but
a
that's
nice
great, man.
it's been a nice thing too because it's on her like her lunch hour, I always take lunch with her and then we
Yeah,
we eat for a half an hour
that's
and then we
great.
just come to my office and we do 20 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
And then she goes back because she was supposed to do like band this year. I mean, your kid would have been in band, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So there's no band. So I'm like, well, let's put a guitar in your hand
Yeah.
and see what happens.
No,
But
that's great. That's great. And now does she play drums? Because all my kids will come play drums.
oh yeah, the kinetic part of that
Yeah.
kids gravitate towards it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
They're like, you mean I can be as loud as I want? I said, yes, you can.
yeah. Just shut the door, bro.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
I wanted to talk to you about your path to MI
Sure.
because high school thrash metal playing in the
Hmm.
garages with you and a drummer. Were you guys
Yes.
just were you trying to do covers at all? Like, were you learning tunes off Cowboys from Hell and like doing that
No.
thing too?
No.
Nothing?
No. So this is what's so interesting about my story to eventually getting to where I am today, where like I'm like totally into the jam world and improvised music, is that I grew up for the first, considerable part of my life only improvising. I mean, we had a handful of tunes that were like, very obvious, easy riffs, Sabbath riffs and stuff like that. But no, when you don't have a bass player or anybody else, those songs just don't feel full. And again, I never trusted my ear. I never was good at learning songs, and so I really just tried. We would go down in the basement. We would smoke a bowl, and we would be down there for an hour or so, and we would just see if we could get a couple good grinds going.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that for years, and really never played gigs. And this dude was a good drummer too. Like never played gigs. Maybe once or twice. Um, it just really wasn't the thing. I think a lot of it was being afraid of not being as good as you think you were, but also not knowing anybody that played bass, and also like still like really having a good time doing what we're doing. So when I went to when I went to MI, that wasn't my first foray in trying college. I Okay. There's another part I must mention too.
Hmm.
I never played guitar for people, ever. Like, so it was me, it was my thing. I shared it only with my friend Justin, who played drums. This was not something that I brought out at parties. This was not like I this was a private matter up until a point that I was like 20 or so at least, right?
Hmm.
And so when I went to college, I went to college for business. My family had a family business. They wanted me to get involved, and then I got a couple years in and basically said, you know what, I actually think I'm good enough to do this for a living. But I know that my ear is not good. I know that I don't have the onstage experience as a lot of these people. But I also know that I can rise to the occasion and do anything, and that I have chops for days. In those days, I really did, and because I would spend 8 hours a day just doing legato exercises, like everywhere, you know.
Nice.
Um, I still do every day. I wake up and I either run or work out. In the first hour before I do anything, all I do is exercises.
Okay.
Nothing musical at all, just to build strength and dexterity. But that used to be many hours a day, um, because I was trying to be able to do everything that my buddy could do on the drums, all around, just on the guitar, and match it, beat for beat, and get so tight with it that I could be dynamic with it, because I never wanted to play with compression or anything else like that. I just wanted to have complete touch control, even at super rapid pace. So anyway,
Hmm.
um,
What you do in spades, like that's one thing I really appreciate about your playing. Like, you have a lot of control over the instrument.
yeah, I appreciate that.
You know, there's a bunch of different levels of different players, and people have different vibes and everything. But that's the one thing I always really like about what you do when I hear you play is like you have a command over the instrument. And it's a voice too. Like you've got a sound. You know what I mean? Just
I
because of
I
that.
do think that I do, and I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I definitely, for better or for worse, achieved my ultimate goal. I feel, where like I don't really sound like anybody else, and I like that, for better or for worse. But to answer your question, um, so I got crazy in college, and I said, you know what? I'm taking a shot. I'm taking a shot, and I didn't go to like conservatory like Berkeley like you did. I wanted to go to GIT because GIT was known as like a tech school.
Hmm.
It's similar to what it's a performance based. It is not a conservatory. You don't. I think it would be obvious, even though people at GIT would hate me saying this, but there's no way that you get the depth of music education that you would get at a conservatory, like you have, like your understanding of harmony and melody and how it all works out. It is at levels that I've never really encountered. But what GIT gives you is there are no breaks. It's 2 years straight, 10 weeks on, 2 weeks off, in addition to all of your ear training and reading and chords and single string and private lessons and everything else. The main thing that GIT does is you have live playing workshops. So
Nice.
10 times a week, 10, and each one is a different genre. There's a jazz one, there's a reggae one, there's a metal one, there's a funk one, there's a country one. Um, you get on stage, the main stage, and the main stage is where everybody goes in between their classes to go and watch their peers. And so everybody sits in the LPWs in between their classes to see how everybody else is doing. And you get one person from the bass program, one person from the guitar program, key program, vocal program, drums. The production people that are in their classes are doing it, and it's 10 times a week for 2 years, 10 different genres, playing with different people every gig,
Man.
in front of all the people that are the best players from wherever they came from, the hardest critics, and you eat shit left, right, up, and down, and like you get up, you dust yourself off, and at the end of it, you've gone through this crazy gauntlet, um, and that is what I wanted, because I wanted to be on stage, I wanted to be a hired gun, I wanted to tour. Um, that's what I wanted to do, and MI was known as a pipeline for that. Um, and even though that didn't happen, and that's a different conversation if you want to go down that rabbit hole,
Go,
but
man. Wherever you want to go, go.
well, here's the story. I mean, you know this a little bit, but when I went, I went for those reasons, right? And when I went, I mean, I think my class was probably 200 people deep. Um, and I went in 2003 or 4, I can't remember. But the point is that, like, I think Napster came out in 98 or 99. The writing was like sort of on the wall for the industry then, but it wasn't destroyed yet. It wasn't like there was plenty of A&R money. At least 50 of the 200 people in the graduating class when I was a freshman got signed to big bands that were major labels. Like MI's pipeline was still very much intact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's their whole claim to fame. Like all of you see all the musicians on TV. Like whether it's The Voice or Fallon or whatever. Those are all MI grads. That's like what they advertise. And that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
Um, and then when I went there, you were still renting DVDs from the library. They were giving you the sheet music. There was no YouTube. There was no nothing. So you had to learn these 10 LPWs a week with the actual record and the sheet music, which was handwritten, by copied and handwritten.
Some poor schlub.
Exactly. But by the time I graduated in 2006 or 7, iTunes came out, YouTube came out, and maybe the top 5 guys got work, and everybody else who had a deal, I nailed an audition with a band, got an advance. I graduated in like March or it was like May or something like that. Went on vacation, spent the money because I was young and dumb, came back, gig was gone. Everybody I knew, their gigs were gone. Everybody was broke, sleeping on couches, and like I said, the top 5 guys got work, but everybody else was just stuck in Hollywood flat broke. Ugh. And so I say that to say, like, the internet totally ruined my plans. It, like, completely and truly destroyed my plans. And so after 6 months or so of being broke and it not working out, and Hollywood is not like Baltimore where it's local music friendly. It's pay to play out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not like you can just go and make $300 and get tips and sit on a stool like you can or at least you could before COVID here in Baltimore. Like if you want to play out in Hollywood, you have to pay $500, to play
crazy.
For no one. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I did what everyone logical did. I moved home and started teaching and gigging locally. And then that started me on that path of falling in love with teaching. And then around 2013, so again, 7 or however many years later, I started seeing people, turn, what I saw decimate the industry. 7 or 8 or however many years later it was, 2012, 2013, I started seeing the early YouTubers like Marty Schwartz and Justin Sanderco and stuff like that. YouTube had just become monetized, but most people were still doing Google ads and search engine stuff. But I started to see people make a living doing it, and we had just had our second kid at that point, and Annie was a special ed teacher. And I was doing 110, 120 corporate gigs a year, weddings and stuff. That was most money I could because, I was a parent, and then teaching 50, 60 students a week and coaching kids' rock bands. And she was a special ed teacher, and we were like, we're at our ceiling. We're never going to be able to do more or make more than we are now. Like, let's take a shot. And so I went all in on online education, knowing nothing in 2013. And so now it's been 7 years, man.
It's crazy. And like a bunch of your peeps are in here, and like thanks for
Yeah,
hanging, guys.
I see Vandy, I see Dime, White Rabbit. Dude, you guys are great. Great to see you all. Jen,
Yeah, and you have such a great community. I think that's what's cool
I
about.
do.
You really
I'm
do.
very grateful.
Yeah, you should, because there's so many great people. And when I stopped in when Joey was on
He
and
was
was
great, by the
watching,
way.
yeah, he's such a sweetheart. He just is. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel lucky to call him a friend now. It's just like it's so cool.
I totally
Um,
feel you.
but just seeing all the comments and things that people have to say. And you know what I was going to tell you? I totally forgot to tell you this, but like one of your fans posted that Punch Brothers tune, and you guys listened to that.
Yeah,
That song has been blowing my mind for the past 2 weeks.
dude, how good are they?
I mean, I knew of that band,
Yeah,
and I was just like Chris Thiele is just like one of my favorite musicians ever.
it's
But
unbelievable, unbelievable.
but that song, as a songwriter, I was like, holy shit! Like that song is so well crafted, like every part about it. And then like I guess it was 2 nights ago, my wife and I were watching TV, and we were about to go to bed. I was like, oh, I gotta play you this song that I heard, because she loves bluegrass and stuff. And she was like, I'm surprised you like this. And I was like, oh, I freaking love this, like as a songer. So like the fact that you
Bluegrass
have all
changed
these,
my life.
yeah, man. I mean, like the fact that you have a group and a community like that that's just like listens to great music, and you know what I mean? And it's just so rad, man.
It's I know that you know me, and so we know a bit of each other's stories, but you know enough, and again, you can prompt me to share as whatever you want me to share, but um, you know how much it means to me. It's not just how much I mean to them, like how much they mean to me, because
Oh, yeah.
it is huge. It is not lost on me at all, especially what's happening with this React series, because I made 300, 400 YouTube videos before I ever had one pop. And I was so grateful to have 1,000 subs and 1,200 subs and 1,412 subs,
Mm-hmm.
and so what's happening now is just so tremendous. And the best part about it is that it all started because I was kind of burnt out on what I was doing, and now I'm back to that place. Like I feel like a kid again, where I pick this thing up, and this is in my hands 6 to 7 hours a day, and I'm actually not working on building a business and all these things like I had to do what I had to do, but to actually just try to get better at the goddamn instrument again.
Yeah, man. I hear you.
And it's been a long journey to get back to that place.
I know. And I'll tell you this, man, like, and for all you people watching, like Mike has been so cool to me. Like I met Mike through a mutual friend, and then I came and did your, in-home kind of hang thing. We
Yes.
did that a couple times.
Yes.
And Mike and I get along really well, and we both,
Yes.
appreciate music in very different ways, but the similar ways at the same time. But like you were like, you should do this, man. Like you should get into this. It's what you'd be good at, kind of thing. And like I was always a teacher, but like the fact that you were like, you should do this and encouraging me to do it was the best thing. I needed that at the time. So as a friend, like you were being a really good friend at that time. And always, but like, just like this is fun to me to do this stuff and to do videos to like review gear. I love gear. Like Mike knows I freaking love gear.
I know you love gear.
But like, just to do that stuff, it's a labor of love. Like it's a first time like I've done stuff where I feel like this is a labor of love in the fact that like I'm having fun, Dude, and I see that in you too. So
it is fun. It's fun, and it's. I remember when you first came over, or maybe it was the second time you came over, and you said, I've been talking to some friends, and I've been talking to my wife, and they're like, why is this guy helping you and encouraging you? Like aren't you competition? Like why would someone help you,
Right.
and encourage you to be the direct competition? And what I've found and what I told you, years ago, is that what what works, what people end up connecting with is the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And no one can be you. And there's when you try to be somebody else, like for the first 2 years I started Guitar Gate and was online. I was trying to be a Marty Schwartz or whatever. And you know what? It didn't work. I lost money for 2 years because I wasn't trying to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I found is that, you know, the reason that I have the community that I have, and that you will find the right people for you. I remember Tim Pierce and I had this conversation. He said, I believe you end up with the audience you were supposed to have, because at the end of the day, you are what they're choosing to give their attention to you. And I
Mm-hmm.
and I always thought that you were such a great player and a great person that would just shine through. And in the same way that one person can have, you know, favorite music or 15 different friends, or they can learn this from that person or that from that person, there is no competition online, because all you're really doing at the end of the day is scaling yourself.
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
Yeah.
And my buddy Terry's in here. He's the guy that
Hey,
created
Terry.
created my logo and stuff, and he's been helping me with all the artwork for these. He's great. But it's
Dude,
stuff.
looks great.
Yeah, he's amazing. So shout out Terry. But he, you know, we just got to talking through Instagram stuff, and like that's the cool thing about this community. And he and I were talking about this today. We talk every day.
Yeah.
We're basically coworkers.
I love it.
From afar. He's in Canada. But we were talking about how great this community is, and like how many guitar players and musicians are out there that are just really just beautiful people. Well, big hearts, and like just like soaking it in just like we are.
Well, and
You know?
that's the other thing. And so anybody that follows me has heard me say this a bunch, because I usually bring it up to most of the guests on my channel. But I always make a point to bring it up, even if it's off air when we're chatting, when streams are over, is that this one of the main reasons this has been so great, especially during COVID, is like when we're sitting around watching the world burn, and everybody eating their own faces, on Facebook, like
Yeah.
it's so great to have a reminder that at the end of the day, we have more in common than we don't with people, and that most people are good, and that we're on the right side of putting energy on that trajectory,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's hard to find on the internet, but when you do, people embrace it.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that we're communicating a universal language with music.
Exactly. Well, and that's
You
the
know?
thing, it needs a conduit, and we have a good one.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And let me jump in. So for the end of this, I wanted to
See,
talk
we're
to
getting
you.
deep again. See,
Well, that's fine, man. This is what pals do
I know.
over a beer. Cheers again.
Hey,
Cheers
cheers. I know. I tend to get deep at the drop of a
again.
hat.
That's fine, man. So I wanted to talk to you about the Jamband thing, because
Let's do it.
it's been a part of my life, and I talked to you about Mo a bit. Have you done a Mo video yet?
I've been waiting for you, brother.
Can we do it remotely?
We can do it right now.
We could do it right now.
But yes, we can do it. We can do it remotely. If you want to, well, we can talk about that off air. But we can do it through StreamYard like this. You can be my guest, and we can just do a Mo night or whatever.
Let's do that, because there's so much music to cover. It's like Mo. It was like a huge. So it was the Dead, then it was Fish,
Yeah.
and then it was Mo. And Mo for me was a reason to go against the grain of what all my friends were jumping on a bandwagon on, because I felt like I was early on into the Fish thing. Not to toot my own horn, but I did have an older brother who got me hip in 7th grade.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was listening to Junta then, and it's like,
So what's that, mid-90s?
yeah, that would have been like 92.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Ish.
Yeah. Early.
Early 90s, yeah. So but when I got to late high school, early college, like No Doy was like one of their first popping records. That was when they signed with Sony, and they were kind of getting more into the mainstream.
Yeah.
But they have older albums like Fat Boys, and older record and stuff. But I think I got into them because of everything with just not wanting to be a lemming with fish. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And I've always done that. It's like my own pride of like wanting to like find something that's just mine. You know what I mean?
And that
Kind of
was
thing.
Mo.
Yeah, and it was Mel. And the guitar player in that band, after years of not knowing this, but the one guitar player, Chuck Garvey, in that band, who I'm trying to get on the show too, he was a huge influence on me for a long time. And I've only found out maybe 7 or 8 years ago that he's really into Wayne Krantz.
And that's a huge influence on you.
Yeah, and I was just like, well, duh. Like the way he approaches playing and all that stuff, the way he phrases things,
Yeah.
it just makes sense now. But like, we should definitely do that. But I want to hear, so like, what have you been exposed to since you got into this stuff and you started digging deep? That was like, I know Humphreys has been a big thing for you.
I love Humphreys. I
Yeah.
love that fucking band.
Let's talk about that stuff. Like, just like, what are the tunes that like lit more? Like, what's the Humphreys tune that really lit the fire?
All right, so I
Because
would be
Anchor Drops is one of my favorite albums of any jam band out there. So,
yeah, okay. So what was the very first one that I did? It was oh, I'm drawing a blank. God damn, now you're gonna make me look it up.
look it up. Do you know what else is a great song that my old band used to cover? Humphreys tune. We did "Women, Wine, and Song." You know that tune?
Yeah.
What a
I don't know that tune.
Oh, that's on Safety in Numbers.
So this is, I should state this because it's for the people that know me well. This is obvious, but with exception to basically the Dead, I don't listen to much music off camera.
That doesn't surprise me. That's fine.
Yeah. So like even though I say that like I'm like I love Humphreys and I can't wait for them to come to town, I have not gone through their albums. I have not gone through a lot of their stuff. Well, I can't. Hold on a second.
You need to listen to all of Anchor Drops.
Okay.
That's when Chris Myers kind of came in.
Dude, I love him on the drums, man.
Oh my god, dude, he's a monster. He's an absolute monster.
That was yeah, Puppet String. That was, and I know that's not one of the crazy ones like Wizard Burial Ground, which I loved, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But one of the first things that really grabbed me about that band, again, this comes from my background. You know, like it's one of the reasons why I only review live tracks, because one, I know nothing about production, and two, I don't really care about it too much, and because mainly I'm a wholehearted subscriber that you're only ever as good as your drummer.
Yeah.
And I only want to see people move air in a room or in a field, and it starts there. And so the main reason that I love Humphreys is because of him, not really because of Jake or anybody else. It's those little hi-hat snaps. Like when I first watched Puppet String, and they're doing, if I remember correctly, it's like a set of 3 and a set of 4 and a set of 3 and a set of 4. But how he and Jake are dynamically going up and down, like as the hi-hat opens, like Jake is like moving his palm like further back the bridge and going forward. And I was just like, these two are Justin and I. Like, I get it. I understand what's happening, and that's why I have such a strong connection to that band. It's because I see them all functioning like off of him, like together. Like his hi-hats are like directly connected to like Jake's wrist, and like it warms the lower cockles of my heart.
Dude, so I mean, well, Jake being a drummer, I mean, as well, that's why.
I know. And so I actually took a lesson with him.
I remember you telling me that.
And we talked about drums like almost the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't share it because it was against, even though Jake said it was okay, it was against terms of the service that he used, and it was a bunch of crap, and I'm pissed about it. But it was so great because the vast majority of the conversation had nothing to do with harmony or melody. It was totally about the drums and how he, when he comes up with riffs, generally he comes up with it on the drums and then adds guitar to it. And it's just like, totally a man after my own heart. So like when I first saw them, like their video, that's what I saw. I was just like, oh my God, like I totally get this band. I get it for life. I'm going to see them every time they come through town.
Yeah, they're so great. There's that song that I was talking about, Women, Wine, and Song. I think there's a live video of them playing that song on Jimmy Kimmel. And it is,
Humphreys was on Kimmel?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Huey
I'm gonna
Lewis
have to
played
look that up.
harmonica on it. Should we just pull that up just for fun?
Do it. You know how to do it, right?
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
Dude,
but
see?
it's Huey Lewis is playing harmonica with him, and I think I'm pretty
such
sure.
a Huey Lewis fan.
Oh, dude, sports, forget about it, man.
Dude, I know. I just made a video on it the other week, and like I hadn't watched that in a while. The News was such a good band.
Oh my God!
All the harmonies, all the layering, like it was. I mean, really one of the best bands of the '80s.
Dude, I mean, it is
like buy it, like really like one of the best bands.
Yeah, and like that, all the tunes on that, if you listen to how funky some of that stuff is, I mean, there's some really serious, deep syncopation funk stuff happening with the rhythm section and stuff in that band that you don't really appreciate, unless you kind of like pay attention to it. You know what I mean?
Have
All right,
you
let me
seen?
see.
I mean, I know that you have, but I'm just saying it out loud. But like the acapella stuff they all do, like 4 and 5 parts, like on stage live.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when they do the doo wop.
Dude.
That is so amazing. All right, play this.
All right, like check this out. Okay, so let's get this fired up.
I love that this is what you're doing. You're like doing what I do right now.
I gotta do it because you're here.
Share the audio.
Can you hear it?
I cannot hear it.
You cannot hear it? Maybe I don't know how to do this. What's going on here?
Did you hear that? Well, see, you'll hear it if it's on your computer, but if you do it again, there'll be an option that's in the bottom left-hand corner, like when you go to add your screen again. So take your screen off.
Okay. We get dump this to here.
Yeah, so just remove your screen. So go down.
Okay. Mike?
No.
Dang it.
Just literally take your screen. So go to where it says screen. It just says Mark right now.
Stop sharing.
Yep. Now I can't see. Now go to add screen share, and then it's going to ask you to do Chrome or tab. Go to the one to the right, and you should find your tab open.
Oh, Chrome tab?
Yeah, but then go down. There's a little button you click on the bottom.
Oh, share audio.
There you go.
Look at you. Education. All right. Here we go.
Yeah, and then do it again, and it should work.
All right, sweet.
Humphreys McGee.
There you go.
All right.
Safety and number.
This is so good.
They're young guys. They're a jam band.
Yeah, you gotta bring up the volume.
They're a jam band.
Jamming with Huey Lewis, and they'll be jamming again with my fly fishing instructor, Huey Lewis.
That's right.
By the way, Huey
Fly fishing
also
instructor.
has next week. This album of the greatest hits and the videos also comes out next week.
His videos were great too.
Yeah.
I wrote the liner notes.
All right, come on. What? Come on.
Song, Women, Wine, and Song.
Here it is.
And
Look how young he looks.
Huey Lewis, Humphreys McGee.
It's a Jake song, too. I love when he sings.
Yeah. Huey was such a good harp player, man.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Losing in the last phase. Still on my complications and my reasons in the yard. Bars and guitars, guns and guns.
I can't believe this happened.
I know, right?
His life is too short, of course. Yes, it's too short, of course. Life struck us off the wind right out you. Oh, Lord, I can't do it without you. Seems like a lot of gray in the world. Women want a song. Women want a song. We'll make it all move along to a lovely beat. Yes,
It's great, right?
Dude, this is so killer because, like, at first I was just like, oh. Yeah, at first I was just like, oh, maybe they were in the green room. They're like, yeah, sit in with us. But then it's like, obviously, he knows the song.
Yeah, I think somebody told me, I don't know if this is true, but somebody told me he's related to Joel, the keyboard player, in
Well, that
some
would
way,
make
shape, or
sense.
form. I mean, I don't know, but like,
Like, he's, like, this is early, and he's obviously either a fan or, like, learned the song the day before. Because, like, he's getting all the changes and harmonies, and that's, like, a long harmony to sing with lots of stuff going on.
yeah, and he played on the record. He played harp on the record and stuff. So
Didn't know any of that.
yeah, so we don't have to. I mean, we don't have to listen to all this.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's great, right?
Yeah, that's great. That's but so what did you ask me before? Oh yeah, about the jam stuff. Like I know for me, like I mean, you know how I got into it, right? We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It was the Dead mostly, right?
Yeah, well,
Or no, was it Fish? And then the Fish stuff went down.
no. It was the Dead, but basically, I and again, people that know me are gonna know the story, so I'll make it quick. But I had been teaching online for 7 years or 6 years or however long, and I was totally burnt out on making YouTube videos because I never had anything work. And I had spent all my time and effort trying to make courses and figure out how to market them and support a family and do all those things. And I had not spent any time since GIT in actually trying to get better at this. I had no motivation whatsoever to be a better guitar player. Like I had totally crossed the river, burned the boats behind me, had kids to feed, and had to figure out online marketing and all the stuff that has nothing to do with what I do now.
Right.
And so I put the guitar down for like 3 or 4 months in mid 2019. Didn't pick it up at all. I did all the stuff that I do to work, but since I already had a dozen courses and most of my students came through Udemy and Facebook ads and all that type of stuff, it had been on autopilot for a while. And so I didn't make a video. I had stopped doing like the weekly interviews where we first did our thing, and I was crickets, like radio silence for at least 4 months. It didn't do anything. Didn't even pick the guitar up. This is like the 5th or 6th time in my life where that's happened. Like I said, this has been the battle of my life to keep picking it up when things get hard.
Right.
And Annie was a Mayer fan, and I obviously knew of Mayer and had seen him, but was never really a fan. But knew he was a good guitar player and all that. And we had friends of ours that were like, come see Dead and Company in Virginia in July or so. And so I was like, all right, well, I've never been into the jam scene at all. I know Mayer's a good guitar player, but like, what's he doing playing in a cover band? Like, fine, we'll drink a lot of beer, it'll be fine.
Right.
And so I go there, and two things really stick out to me, which I didn't expect. One was that, here's this guy who sounds nothing like anything I've ever heard him sound like before. I mean, he totally came from a Stevie Ray Vaughan key-centered background. Like, he was always melodic, but like, minor blues, everything, sounding nothing like what he sounded like before. Tone-wise, phrasing, energy, all of it, totally different. And taking a monstrous pay cut to take 15 to 20 dates a season out of his main stadium, touring schedule to be a hired gun in a cover band. And he looks happier than I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
And like totally digging this music. And I look around, and Annie, who never was into the Dead before either, looked right at me and she goes, have you ever seen so many happy people in your life? And I was just like, no, no, I haven't. And it hit me right in that moment, and I was just like, here's this guy who's a superstar that does not need to be a hired gun and play other people's music, choosing to do so, making less money, and looking like he's so grateful for the opportunity. And all these people who look like they're so grateful for the opportunity to be there. And I was like, there is something that I've missed along the way. And there is something that I don't get, that I want to get immediately. And there were a couple songs, because I'm like you, I'm a song guy. At the end of the day, I'm into stories about people that change people's lives and connect us all. There were a couple tunes that I couldn't get out of my head. And I went home, and again, I hadn't played the guitar for months. And I went home and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try to learn. I think the first one I did was They Love Each Other. I know it's an hour. I know you got to go.
No. I'm good. We can keep going, man. This is fine. That just accidentally went off.
Okay. And I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do what I've always done before. I said, I'm gonna put the camera on, but I'm not gonna do what I always did before, which is like I've always done, and everybody does on YouTube, which is learn it first, get it right, practice it, turn the camera on, and have this, 7 or 8 minute lesson that everybody does that, no one ever watched. I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to pretend like all those 1,000 times someone brought something into a room and said, I want to learn this. And you have a half an hour and you listen to it, you learn what makes the song what it is, the broad strokes, talk about the things they should work on, whatever, like what it means to you, what you're getting from it. And then the next one comes in, and I did that forever. And I put it, and I just turned the camera on and just did exactly that. Didn't get it all right, talked about what I liked about it, and really, really liked it mostly because of Robert Hunter, like the songs, right? That's one thing about that band. The reason why, it really sticks with me more than Fishes or any of the others is because, unlike the others, they're anchored in great songs.
Yeah.
About people and about places that I can relate to. And I didn't know what to call it. And I was just like, well, it's sure shit not a lesson because it's I'm learning it, It's not, and I'm not getting it all right by any stretch of the imagination.
Which is real life. That's how it goes.
I know. I know. And so I looked around on the internet, and the only thing close that I could find like it were these, vocal coaches and or just music heads in general just reacting to stuff. And I was like, screw it. I'm just going to call it Guitar Teacher Reacts. And sure enough, the bitch popped. And so then when the community embraced me and they were like, welcome, we're glad to see you on the bus and take this journey, even though like it's so clear how green you are. Then they started showing me other stuff, and then obviously the other jam bands came up, and then now it's kind of become this own thing where we do a bunch of different genres, and it's all great. But that's how I got to this point, man. That's
so awesome.
Yeah, it came completely organically after having been successful in teaching, but being burnt out and being inspired by seeing Mayer reinvent himself and choosing to dive into a genre I knew nothing about, because it was so clear to me on that day that it was there, and then that inspired me to not do any edits. I don't do any edits anymore. Just click. I trim the edges, and sometimes I don't even do that, and it goes up. And I think it just works. People respond to it, and it forces me to keep trying to get better and not just be perfect. And I feel like the music is kind of all about that too.
Man, yeah, and to give yourself like a second life too. Because think about it, like now you have there's a huge catalog that you can dive into now.
It's incredible.
And it's like, I love that when I find out about a band that I was not hip to. I'm like super late to the party because then I have like a whole discography to go back through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just got into John Cleary.
I don't know who John Cleary is.
He's a New Orleans piano player.
Oh, say no more.
And he was Bonnie Raitt's keyboard player for a long time.
Go on.
Yeah. But his album Dynamite, like totally in fact, let me play you some because
I love
you're gonna be like, oh my god, this is great. So he was Bonnie Raitt. So my keyboard player had been telling me about him for a long time and been like, hey, we should cover this song. Like, all right, cool. Let me just send me some stuff. And like, he never got around to sending me stuff. But then I was like, I'm going to go dig in. And this is what I heard.
Got it on the screen. You got to share the screen.
Can you hear it?
No, you got to share the screen for me to hear.
Again?
Oh, you do.
What's wrong with StreamYard? All right, cool.
You got to take your time with it. I have so many technical difficulties when I stream. I have issues with my wireless mouse. It goes out all the time. I got to get a hardwired mouse. Everybody makes fun of me.
That's funny. All right, see, can you hear this?
I see that you're sharing it.
Nothing?
No, you don't have the tab, the YouTube tab.
Oh, you have to use YouTube. You can't go through iTunes?
Oh, no.
Dang it.
Because it's sharing through the browser. It's an internet
yeah, that
thing.
makes sense. All right,
well,
so
anyway, you can send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's just like his album Dynamite is so good. It's got me to the point where I'm like, oh, this is the kind of stuff that I've always wanted to write. Do you know what I mean? Like that I never really maybe paid attention to that in terms of like groove, because I feel like most of the time when I write music, it's all groove oriented. Like everything I write comes from a backbeat. So if I'm like, I'm in the shower,
dude, your original stuff is really strong, man. Like
thanks, dude.
I only have, so we got a new car, but my old car, which we kept because it was paid off, has a CD player. Imagine that. And I only have 3 CDs in it, and yours is one of them.
Oh, right on. That's funny.
But I don't take it out.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I mean it's
Who's the bass player up in Frederick you used?
Tyler Bish.
He's good.
Yeah, he's great, man. He's so great.
Yeah.
Here, I'm just gonna play a little bit because it's so great. You hear that, right?
No, you didn't share the audio again. You didn't click that button.
That's weird. I just did it. Huh. Let me see here. Okay.
It's fun being live, isn't it?
It is. It's fine though. Everybody's all good, right? We're all hanging out.
Everybody is always all good. There you go.
All right.
Get rockin' when you're riding tight. Take your time. We ain't got all night. We're gonna get it, quit it, get on with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, get it, quit it, get on with it now. Get on with it a bit by bit. Hit, get, quit, split. I get jump around your phone.
Bass is so fantastic.
So I just had to play a second of that. I mean,
that's great.
It's so funky. Like, and he's got a ton of music out, a ton of records out.
Yep.
But man, when I heard that, I was like, okay, I know what their next record's gonna sound like. You know what I mean? Like, it's just because I always hear that like all the time. Anytime I'm like, and I've written my best stuff in the shower or in the car. You know what I mean? One time, one of my tunes, I was in the shower and I heard a melody over and over and I started writing words and not even kidding you, the steam on the like shower door, I wrote all the words.
See, this is the real stuff right here.
And then I literally ran out naked and like went to my laptop and like opened it up and started singing it and like just to get it down. And then I was like, okay. And that's like one of the songs that everybody loves to hear every time I play out. So it's just, you never know what's going to happen, man. You never know.
Dude, I know. So when are we going to play out again?
I have a gig on October 10th on you know that pirate ship in the harbor?
Yes, they're having bands.
Well,
solo act.
No, WTMD asked us to play the radio station. So
we're bringing a full band.
Just a trio.
Okay, still that counts.
Yeah, and you know what I have coming in the mail tomorrow?
No.
Is the Strymon Iridium. You know about that pedal?
I don't. but I know
So
what Strymon is.
yeah, it's an IR cab simulator thing, but it's like, guitar simulation as far as like a Fender Deluxe. There's a Fender Deluxe, a Vox AC30, and a Marshall Plexi.
Are you still playing through that car?
No, dude, I am playing through that 2-Rock.
Oh yeah, that's right. I just remember you brought the car to my house, and I was just so I mean,
It's
you
a
know
great
me.
amp.
For those that don't know, I'm so not a pedal guy, but I'm totally a Class A tube amp guy.
Yeah,
And
you are.
like that thing sounded fucking great.
Dude, yeah. I mean, that 2-Rock has changed my life. It's kind of like the only
When'd
way
you
I can
get that?
describe.
Have you had a chance to crank that yet outdoors?
Oh, yes. And it's glorious, A, but B, that was a midlife crisis purchase, my friend.
You're not cheap.
No, but I sold the car to get it, and I was just like, whatever, man. It's all, I can't take it with me, dude. It's
Yeah.
all material shit. And this other thing that just recently blew my mind is there's a company called Cornerstone,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had him on Saturday. He's in Italy, and he builds this pedal called the Gladio, and it's based on like a Dumble circuit. So it's
Mhm.
like 2 channels. One is like just like a clean boosty kind of channel, and the other channel is kind of more of an overdriven.
Mhm.
And I sold 3 pedals last week after I heard that thing, after I got it.
Really?
I was like, I don't need this, I don't need this, and I don't need this. And I just sold them all, and I got that Strymon. And I got the Strymon one basically because for all the YouTube stuff that I'm doing, reviews and stuff, it'll just be easy setup to just go through that as an IR. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, when you're in your basement and you're making stuff for the internet, you can't beat direct just because it works and the signal's fine. You don't make volume. You can do it in the middle of the night. It's just, and at the end of the day, people that are listening to it on their phone, it's they don't really tell.
no,
But man, I got to tell you, when this is all over, I just because I've been playing so much and I'm so like into it again, like finally, because even when I was in the band, when you're in a corporate band like that and you're playing the same 100 songs 100 days a year, you get so burnt out. Even though you're making money with the guitar in your hands, whether it's on the internet or on stage, it's just like if you don't have that spark, it burns you out. And I am ready not to do 10 or 12 gigs a month, but like 2 when this is over. If it maybe it'll just be like maybe we'll do Inverness like maybe it'll just be like breweries and wineries, like outdoor stuff. I don't know if indoor is going to come back, but I'm ready to do something here, something there again. Big time.
Oh, I told you I'm down to get together and play. I think it'd be
I'd
fun,
love
man.
to. I would love to.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, let me get you back to your family, and let's do our lightning round here, my friend. You're going to be subjected to this as well.
Whatever you want to
do. So you know the drill here, right?
I know that you ask. I don't know how many questions, but how many seconds do I have?
There's no time limit. This is just friends.
Okay.
Just hang in.
Just go for it.
Firing questions. All right. The first question is always the same. I say this every time. Lennon or McCartney?
McCartney.
Telly or 335?
Telly.
Jason Bourne or John Wick?
Jason Bourne.
Einstein or Tesla?
Einstein.
Richard Marx or Richard Gere?
Richard Gere.
All right. U2 1 or Metallica 1?
Metallica, not even close.
I knew it. All right. 9s
I'm not
or
a
10?
fan.
You're not?
10s.
Okay. 10s? Okay. Soundgarden or Audio Slave?
Soundgarden.
Mozzarella sticks or jalapeno poppers?
Mozzarella sticks.
All right, and here's the last one. The last one's always the toughest. It puts you under the bus. And maybe it'll be easy. It might be easy. I don't know.
All right.
Ray Lewis or Cal Ripken?
Ray Lewis.
No, that was easy. I knew it. You're a football guy. I knew it. I was
Yeah.
like, he's going to say Ray Lewis.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go. You survived, my friend. You
Oh,
survived.
well, thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me. Yeah, so I lived in Federal Hill for 7 or 8 years. I feel like everything I've done has been in 7 or 8 year periods. But I lived in Federal Hill for that long, and I went to damn near every game. And if I couldn't get tickets, I'd go to tailgates. And so some of the best memories of my life are at Raven Stadium. And I didn't go to many baseball games as a kid, even though I loved baseball, but not like football. Not like
Yeah,
football.
I figured.
There's something about screaming with 70,000 people. That's just, I hope that this all ends and our kids get to have that, whether it's concerts or football or whatever, because there's nothing like being around so many people that the air shakes.
Man, I agree. It's gonna get there, dude. I mean, I had tickets to see Pearl Jam last March, and obviously that got canceled. And I was looking forward to that more than anything in my life at that moment.
Dude.
And I was going with my best friend Dan, and like I got T-shirts made for the both of us that says like Vetter, or it says Eddie, Stone, Mike, Matt,
Yeah.
Matt, and I was just like, this is gonna be a blast. Like, because last time they were here was like 2013.
Yeah.
So it had been a while since they'd been here. And Dan and I went to our first Pearl Jam show together in high school. We were 16. We had just gotten our licenses. It was like during the no code era. And we drove down without tickets. We drove down to Merriweather and scalped some tickets. And it was the most amazing night. We were just like on cloud 9 all night. So
I bet. Yeah. Right before COVID happened, I don't remember what month it was, but I went down with some old buddies of mine, especially that drummer Justin used to play with, and we got to see Tool down in DC.
Nice.
And oh man, I just need more of that in my life,
dude.
So I'm so grateful I got that one in.
Yeah.
Even before then, I it's unless you're in that scene, like it's I feel like I hadn't been to a concert in a really long time where no one sits, everyone's screaming, everyone knows every word, and it's so loud you can't talk to the person next to you. You can't even hear yourself. And the kick drum is like, and you wake up the next day and you feel like you smoked a pack of cigarettes because you've thrown your voice out. Yeah. And it's just like, God, I miss that.
Me too, man.
I just need it in my electricity and people.
I know, man. It's gonna come back, dude. It really will. I had this talk with my brother-in-law about it, and he was like, "It's gonna come back, man. Don't worry about it. It's just like we're in a shitty situation right now, but it's all gonna come back." So,
well, on that note, thank you for having me. And anytime you want to co-host on my channel and have a Mo night or something else like that, let's do it.
Yeah, dude. Tell me when. Next time you want to do it. I mean, what do I have going on, bro?
Well.
I'm gonna redo this room. I'm gonna paint and redo my office. That's all I got going on in the next couple weeks.
I've probably only gotten like 3 tanks of gas since March.
Oh,
I don't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Ever.
It's kind of cool.
We just get boxes. I get so many goddamn boxes. I'm sure you do too. It's just like it's unstoppable. My whole garage. Every time they look like homeless people. Every time the recycling comes out.
It came today. I was so happy. So I'm a big Marvel freak. So this came today. And unbeknownst to me, where is it? Hold on one sec. My wife decided to randomly get me another Pop Funko that's like the Mandalorian. It's like the Mandalorian with the little baby Yoda thing.
Oh my God.
I'm such a nerd. I mean, look at my freaking Captain America's shield. I'm such a nerd.
Dude, I love it. The Pop Funko stuff is expensive and hard to find, by the way.
This was like 10. The Rocket one was like $10, but she signed me up a couple years ago for my birthday, for this like Marvel box. And in that closet, I've been getting these Marvel boxes for like a year and a half, and it's just like pedal boxes and Marvel boxes that line that whole closet.
So my second son, who's in first grade, who's 7, is super into Jaws. And so we're always trying for birthdays or whatever, Christmas, to find him like the Funko, like Jaws and like the Quint.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, dude. Those things you would never know, but like unopened ones are triple digits. Like they're like, and like coming from the other side of the world, like really, really in demand and expensive and hard to find.
I know. And she told me, she's like, why are you keeping all them in the boxes? And I was like, bro, this is our retirement fund. Just because there's like a Venom one that I got in that box that's like this special Venom.
Yeah.
And like I looked and I was like, I'm like curious, like, do these things go? And like it was like $85 or something like that. And I was like, what? someone's gonna spend $85 on this. I was like, I'm just gonna keep them in the boxes, bro.
Dude, it's crazy.
40-year-old version style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, guys. Well, Mike, thanks again so much, man. Really appreciate
Always.
it. And to your crew, thanks for anybody that came out and was hanging out. I appreciate you guys stopping by here. And yeah,
Me too. Thank you all. I noticed you out there. Vandy, Jen, Anne Marie, Dime Life. Thank you so much. TL. Who else is out there? Anne Marie. Yep.
yeah. And we got David, Joey's brother, Dave Landreth, is going to be on my show this Saturday. So
Nice.
yeah,
bass
he's
player, right?
he is. Yeah. So he'll be
Dude,
on
they are
Saturday.
So good.
I told you, son.
I didn't
told you.
listen. I didn't listen. I didn't listen. You were right. Again, you were right. But anyway, yeah, let's hook up on my channel and let's see if we can't see if we can't play some guitar in person at a brewery or winery or something one of these next maybe it'll be spring. Who knows? It's gonna get cold, but someday soon.
I am down. I'm doubling down on the down.